out, so follow me now, just get behind me. Look at the state of me, you can't deny it. I'm gonna walk out, so follow me now, just get behind me.
This is RIFF Radio, a presentation of RIFF Magazine Online, your source for music news, reviews, and interviews from the Bay Area and beyond. Find more at riffmagazine.com. I am Mike DeWald. On this episode, we are joined by Lacey Sturm. She's diligently working away on her sophomore solo album, the follow-up to 2016's Life Screams. Expect that sometime this summer. She, of course, got her start with the platinum-selling rockers Flyleaf. She's authored 3 books. She's been a part of some exciting collaborations as well. Her latest 2 singles are The Decree and State of Me. We'll get into all that. For now, we welcome Lacey Sturm to RIFF Radio. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So let's talk. You've got 2 new singles out here, a new album on the way coming soon. But let's start on these 2 singles. You've got State of Me, The Decree, 2 really, aggressive, energetic rock songs. Was that the direction you knew you wanted to go in, or did the writing just kind of take you that way?
Well, these songs were written, I think last year. We didn't have any particular 2 years ago. My husband's correcting me. 2 years ago. So we didn't really have a direction that, usually we don't have a direction when we're writing. We're just writing whatever's coming out and just seeing how the wind's blowing at the time, But honestly, when The Decree came out and when State of Me came out, even more so, I was so not wanting to listen to any heavy rock music. I'm like, can you just play some classical? I need some peace in my life. Can we just play, something that's soft and folky or something? But then, the time, I feel like at the same time, it felt like it was the right time for this song for so many people. And then I guess we started doing some live stuff and it made more sense, when once we got in there and we're interacting with people. But I was like, I don't want any chaos. I just need peace, But it's kind of funny.
Now, with State of Me in particular, you wrote that song with John and Corey Cooper from Skillet. Was that the first time? I know you've worked, you've kind of been in the same circles with them. Was that the first time you actually collaborated on a song?
I have done music with Corey before, but I never worked with John. And it was interesting when John came in the room and was started to, interact creatively, because he's so unpredictable. I don't know if you've ever interviewed him, but he is sort of off the wild, crazy, goofy, you never know what's going to come out of his mouth kind of fun guy. And so it was interesting to see him really get serious in a creative way. They're really hard workers and really excellent. It was like all of a sudden he kind of became king of the castle and put his crown on. And I'm like, whoa, and he'll do that sometimes, with John. He's just these moments of sage wisdom and real strong, words or whatever that are really clear and profound. But before that, he's talking about boogers or something. I'm like, what? Whoa. It's like, what? I don't know. So it was cool to have that moment with both of them together, because Corey's usually the one that's in there, working with me. We're friends, we were friends before. And one day, she had been off tour for a very short amount of time, maybe a week. And she said something like, yeah, we should write music sometime just to remember that I like music, so I can remind myself that I like it. And I was like, yeah, I know what you mean. It's funny. You get on tour and you're like, oh yeah, this was fun. This is why I did this.
Now you have the new album on the way this summer. Is that something that's finished? Is that still a work in progress that you're writing and recording now?
We're doing it now. Yeah. There are a lot of songs written, but they're still in that transitory mode where our drummer is coming up. He lives in Nashville now, but he's going to come up and stay for us with about a week, and we're just going to see how the songs transform. That's my favorite part of writing, is just playing on the ideas and seeing how they change. And they change forever. I mean, live shows will be different from the album too. But anyway, I love that.
And how has the past year sort of impacted the recording process? Has it made it more challenging? Or I mean, I know you're working with your husband on a lot of, the producing and engineering. Did that aspect of it make it easier in some ways, that you can sort of work on it by yourselves?
Well, 12 years into our marriage, it's easier. but the first few years when we tried to write, it was hard. We did not get it. We had totally different writing styles, and we had to figure that out. And but we worked it out, and that's always been interesting, that the way that other couples tend to like leave each other. Like if you're annoyed, you can just take a break and go to work or go somewhere. And we just work together. So we have to sort it out every time, all the time. And my husband's like, I'm going to go mow the lawn or something and brag better. But it's not like normal people, we have to. So that's interesting. I think it makes for good rock songs.
Now, if you look over, the pandemic in the past year, I mean, I've asked a lot of people this question, and the answers are so all over the place. Did you find, more inspiration on things that you wanted to write about and talk about, or did it go the other direction and you thought just like, I don't want to do anything musical at all right now. I just want to do other things.
Yeah, it's kind of both, I think. But what's interesting about my happy place in writing, which is a weird word to say happy because it's not really an emotional term, but my niche, I would say, is that it overflows out of those moments of revelation, and that can come in the worst times, or it can come in the most, free times, just as long as I'm being honest, and that's when it stops, is when I try to work because it's art, and so when we try to work, it's so much more difficult to make a song that we believe in. But when you're just trying to make sense of life through your art, or just overflowing, then it just comes real natural. So there were seasons where, I lost somebody this season. I lost several people, but one particular person that was really, changed my life forever. I mean, just the way that this person was lost, I guess, was made me want to step away made me want to hide, and go into hibernation and be like, I don't want anybody to ask me questions. I don't want any cameras. I don't want anyone to see my songs. I'm going to still write songs because that's what I do, but I'm going to be, Dickinson, I'm not going to come out of my hole, I'm just going to be like, and hidden. And that was really important for me to be honest with that place. And it was right around that time that I got the opportunity to sing on Brian Head Welch's song, Love and Death, Let Me Love You, which was a Justin Bieber DJ Snake cover, which was so applicable to what I was going through at the time, which I couldn't express. And usually I can. But that's what music does for people. It helps them express when they can't, But right. This was so traumatizing that I was like, I feel frozen. Like I can't express. And so then the song came and I was just crying. I was like, let's start over. I can't sing it without crying. And so, yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say once the song, I guess, sort of comes out on the other side, I guess that's sort of the full circle moment where I don't know, where it all kind of comes together for you, I guess, in terms of what you're thinking.
Yeah. And then, you never know how it will transform. And it transforms even when you sing it. It changes meaning according to who's sitting in front of you and what you're going through. Like I've sang All Around Me from Flyleaf song for how long has it been? 20 years. I don't know, whatever. And every time I sing that song, even if it's an acoustic over the internet today, it will mean something different to me and something still weirdly applicable to my life. It's just weird how art is. Cool.
And now, especially, you know, with these new songs, you can tell that they just live to be played live. Is that something you're looking forward to? Have you thought about, you know, what that looks like yet? Or it seems like we're a little bit closer to being able to do something like that. Is that something you've given thought to?
Yeah. I do believe that will come soon. I just have a feeling that it will open up. I mean, we played a show with Shinedown, an acoustic show. Zach and Myers actually is what they are. Myers and Smith and Myers. That's what they call it. The acoustic duo from Shinedown.
Right.
We played a drive-in theater. And it was one of the first times that anybody had been out of their house. It was like after a real strict quarantine here. And I was like almost in tears with how happy people were with their signs. Thank you for doing this. We needed this, you know, like, and it was just so cool what music can do. It feels like a beyond necessity, you know, like, it's like, let me know I'm more than just surviving, you know? So
as an artist, what was it like to play? I mean, I'm sure that was a very different experience for you. A different kind of audience to play for, but
yeah.
Is it similar in a way, knowing that people are taking it in the same way, even though it looks different to you on stage?
It's kind of the feeling you get, similar to the feeling of like when I moved from small clubs to arenas. You know, it's like you feel a little more disconnected. And it is an adjustment to have to figure out how to hug the whole arena instead of just the front, you know, the people you can see eye to eye, you know, you can connect with them. Not everybody does that either. You know, when I first started playing, I kind of went into my own zone a lot of the show and I ignored the crowd. But little by little, I'd start to see girls like my 16-year-old self who, you know, hated the world and hated everybody and loved them. Like I don't know, I would notice those ones and just look for them afterwards and start looking for those ones to just let them know that I saw them and that they're appreciated and seen, you know. And so that's really difficult to do in an arena, to shift. And then but it's still, you're able to, but it's more of clairvoyant type of way. You know, you have to kind of feel the room, which I love to pay attention to. And then the same thing, even more of, you have to go more inward, more spiritual, I think, with just like, why am I here? How am I connecting? And it has to be a little more vertical in that way. When you're in a car, when they're in a car, you know. So, I mean, right now, I guess we're connecting with people too, but, you know, I'm just looking at you. So it's different too.
Now, kind of a dumb question, but I'm curious. You listen to a song like The Decree and just your scream in that song, it's just this full on growl. And that's not a skill that a lot of people have. A lot of people, you know, people can't do that. I mean, when you were early on, when you were starting out, when did you discover that was an ability you had, and you had this kind of second voice inside you that could come out? Well,
it's not an appropriate thing to do in hardly any context. So it's like I think everyone can do it. I just don't think we do it. I just happen to have a career-ish kind of Lacey career where it's appropriate. But I think when as a child, you know, there's those moments where, you get overwhelmed, very childish thing to do. Tantrums. It's a tantrum. But it's also like pure in some ways that we miss, you know, as kids, you know, we just have this natural response to things. And it's not always that we're pitching a fit because we're being selfish, but that there's really an injustice going on of some kind, like, or there's fear, or there's, some kind of just natural raw response as a human. And I remember having this discussion with my husband because he's not a yeller, and I'm like, I'm yelling about something, and he's like shutting down because he thinks I'm mad at him. I'm like, I'm not mad at you. Listen to what we're talking about. It's the issues at hand. I'm not going to be like, excuse me, our son is drowning. No, I'm going to be like, he's drowning. I'm not mad at you. Let's just go get him out of the water, And so I think I've always had that, but I didn't understand the power of it in music until Pantera was brought into my bedroom by my brother. And at first I was like, this is not music. Okay. This is just a mess. These people, and just, they're not singing. What are they doing? And then I picked up the lyric booklet and I started reading 5 Minutes Alone, I started reading the different songs in there. And I was like, this is about abuse. This is about chaos in your soul. And this is honest. And I was like, there's no other way to sing these lyrics honestly. And I'm like, this is right. And so I just, ever since then, I wanted to have that freedom to express. And I did. I remember writing a song with my brother after that.
And now, as far as other collaborations you've done, I want to say it was right before the pandemic hit. You, of course, recorded with Breaking Benjamin on their acoustic album. I think at one point you guys were looking at doing some more songs, doing some more acoustic stuff. I think did that get upended by the pandemic, or is that still something you wanted to kind of explore at some point?
Yeah, we are still texting about that, sending songs back and forth here and there. He's, for a long time, he was still touring and still doing stuff. And so he's got stuff going on, and so do I. So it's a little tricky to collide, bring things together. But that's still we have songs. I don't know if they'll ever get put out there. We've done together,
Yeah.
And we're writing together. But yeah, there's a plan. I don't know how it will unfold. You never know what will happen tomorrow.
Exactly. And now for your album in particular, I know it's still something you're working on. If we look at these 2 songs you put out so far, does that give a clue as to where things are heading, or is it? Are you going to keep people surprised as to what kind of the complete work will sound like?
I don't have I don't have an agenda as far as sonically, except honesty. I think if there was a common thread there, that would be the one. And that's always what I've said kind of is my favorite genre, which is not really a genre. There should be a radio station like that. We just play honest music. And then you would have country songs in there sometimes. And you would have some EDM every now and then, which is not very often, but sometimes. And you would have a lot of rock and folk, like some classical probably. Anyway, I can make that up. I could probably make that up. But the honesty is going to be there. And you never know what that will come out like. Generally, it's minor chords.
Well, perfect. We look forward to the new album. We look forward to seeing you get back on the road. A lot of hopefully exciting things coming up here in the next weeks and months, and getting back to it. Lacey Sturm, thank you so much. I appreciate you taking the time.
Thank you.
Our thanks to Lacey Sturm for joining us today. Look out for the new album coming this summer. Remember, find more at riffmagazine.com.